What's up, boys? This is Contango coming at you from Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. And today I wanted to do a video. Actually, what I'm going to do is a playthrough of G40 Alt-Universe. I did one of these before, back maybe a month and a half or 2 months ago. So I wanted to do another one. And this one is going to be a bit more of a kill UK first kind of focus from the Axis. I think that's how I'm going to try to play it out. So wanted to start off with just a flyby of the map. So here we are at the start of the game, and that German Panzer there is going to mark what round we're on. I've got the cash on hand right here, and obviously the income's on the income tracker. If you see a flag there twice, it's because a couple of the nations have reduced income when they're not at war. So that's what that's about. Anyway, so I'll do a flyby of the map here, what it's like at the start of the game, and then we'll go from there. So like I said, probably going to try to go after the UK first this time. I think the last playthrough I did was more of a go after Russia and China first sort of thing, and so this will be a little bit different. So I would say the Japanese are probably going to try to go after this city right here of the UK, and the Germans are probably going to try to go after that whole section and that city right there. So we'll come back. I think I will do each round in 2 segments, so I'll do after the Japanese turn and then at the end of the French turn for each round. So I will see you again at the end of the Japanese turn. Alright, so we're back. It is the end of the Japanese first turn. Here are the cash on hand for each nation. So what happened in the first part of the first round? So Germany decided to buy 6 transports. It has enough money for that on the first turn in this game, so 6 transports to go after the UK. Also took out a fleet up there in Sea Zone 22, took out a fleet here in Sea Zone 40, and also a battleship that was sitting here in Sea Zone 39. They also went one-on-one against a destroyer and a transport over here, and were successful. Took out a transport there, and took out a bunch of pro-allies as well. So things went really well for Germany. You can see the casualties up there along the top. A lot of British casualties, not a lot of German casualties. The French there represent the pro-allies. So 9 pro-allied losses and only 2 German infantry. So things went fantastic for Germany. So also Germany took out UK 5, had a successful landing there, didn't lose anything, and that was good because they took out that factory from the UK, and also, not that it matters now because the battleship's gone, but in case these subs lost against the battleship, it closed down that strait so that the UK couldn't send the battleship through against the German fleet there. Also sent 1 fighter down here to help Italy out a little bit. So that's about it for Germany. Russia, not too much to say there, just spamming out low-tier units, a lot of infantry, some artillery and some mechanized infantry, and then pushing forward as much as they're able to. The black chip here represents 10 infantry, so just moving forward, trying to get into position because Germany is going to be pretty light up top here if they're going for the UK, so want to get as far forward as they can. Similarly down here, just trying to consolidate and get ready for the push from Italy. As for Japan, they also bought transports, bought 4 transports here, and went really hard in this direction. Took out these 2 Chinese territories with as much as they could. Thankfully had no losses there. However, They also took out a number of infantry in this territory, and tried to here and here. And that did not go very well. So you can see the casualties up top there, roughly kind of even, and Japan even losing a fighter that was in this C-11 territory. They went in with only 1 infantry and a number of planes and didn't even wipe it out. And also the Chinese got 2 hits, so they had to sacrifice a plane there. So not much incursion in China, which is unfortunate, but they're trying to save units, so didn't go in with a lot. Similarly in C-19 and C-15, the Japanese that did go in got wiped out, so I think every single infantry in those territories, every single Chinese infantry hit, so not great, but this is the main event down here, so at least that went all right. So that's about it for now. We will come back at the end of the French turn, which would be the end of turn 1. All right, we're back at the beginning of the second turn. We left off after Japan, so after them, it was the U.S.'s turn. So the U.S. Decided to vacate this island they've got over here, and for the most part head in this direction. They have to stay next to their territory, or at least the coast of the UK that's kind of underneath their territory there. So yeah, looking like they're eventually going to push over towards Germany because they're seeing that stack of transports up there that's obviously going for the UK. So they're going to try to come in and help out there once they're in the war, which is not going to be until turn 3. So yeah, mostly piling up over here, building some transports up here, and they moved back their carrier and battleship that was in Sea Zone 14 up there. Yeah, so all that's probably going to end up on this side of the map as well, but we'll see. So that's the U.S. China, well, Japan didn't have a lot of luck on their turn taking Japanese territories, so China feeling pretty good to move forward into C-15 there. And since they owned that territory at the start of the turn, their plane can land there. So knowing that Japan really would like to be going that way, they're going to try to create havoc for them by coming this way. So not a ton of attacks. I don't think there was any attacks on the on the Chinese turn. So on to the UK. The UK bought 3 ground units for this area, and moving back, they did take this pro-Allied territory, but in general, trying to get back to defend this city. They did stack up in UK 28 there to try to save some units from the Japanese killing them with transports, but their city is out of range of the Japanese currently, so so they're fine for now. What else? Okay, so UK came into Sea Zone 86 here and took out part of the Italian fleet. That's the casualties there. They only lost 1 cruiser to get a battleship, a cruiser, and a transport. They did have a damaged battleship sitting there. Also in Sea Zone 39, killing some subs and taking back this territory here with the factory. That's the German casualties up there. Also getting a major factory and some artillery there. So the Germans are going to want to try to land over here, probably in UK 5, and the UK is trying to get a force to retaliate when they do, and see what they can do there. Otherwise, not too much. Just moving forward over on this side to get after the Japanese because they're going in the other direction. So that's basically it for the UK. Italy took out the ships that did come in here to 86 So they retaliated against that. That's the casualties here in the middle. So they lost 2 subs to get a battleship, a destroyer, and a cruiser. Also coming up here with 2 transports to take out that UK island. There was an infantry and a fighter there. The fighter could get back up to help defend up there, so the Italians wanted to help out and clear that out, and they didn't even lose anything in the process, so that's good for them. So they're going to do what they can to help Germany out up here. I bought a sub and a transport, finished off the UK in UK 22 there, and got this pro-Axis territory. So that's Italy. Anzac is not at war yet, at least not with Japan. So they picked up that pro-Allied island, moved forward here, bought a transport and an artillery, and that's it for now. France is at its lowest level of escalation, so they can only move 3 units right now. They brought 3 units off the line up here, back to their city, which you can't even see the city right now, but it's the territory with the factory. Also building 3 units, 2 infantry and a fighter there, just in case the Germans get tricky and go directly for that instead of going for the UK. They wanted to at least take a bite out of them. So I think there's about 17 units sitting there right now. So that's all they could do. Everything else down in this area had to stay put. And that's about it. So not much else to say. Germany did get a fair bit of convoying done against the UK. They were able to convoy this from the sea zone. Also up here, there's one German sub sitting underneath all that American stuff, and also some convoying from up there in the north. So that's it. I'll do one more flyby of the map. So we'll leave it here and come back after the second Japanese turn. Alright, we're back in the middle of the second turn, just at the end of the Japanese turn. So this was kind of a low event turn, not a lot of combats to be done, but let's start with Germany. Actually, let's start by showing what the incomes are here, or the cash on hand for each nation. You can see there, Germany sitting on a fair bit of money, about 68 it looks like. So Germany went ahead and stacked up this UK territory right here with everything that they could. There's 1 AA gun, also as many tanks as they could bring along. They wanted to try to dissuade the UK from trying to take that back. I ran the calculation and it looks like about a 50-50 sort of battle for the UK to take that out. So that was the main event for Germany. Also taking 1 UK territory here, and also the pro-Allied right here. So surrounding the remaining UK units there. Also taking this pro-Allied, there's an island under there, it's kind of hard to see right now. This block was to remind me about that. So that was about it for combats. You can see the casualties up there. Actually, Germany decided to take a fighter as a casualty in this territory so they could have as many ground units as possible. So they had purchased 8 infantry and 2 artillery up here, and then 3 bombers down here. And all of these planes that are kind of sitting in that desert there are in this pro-Allied territory, which is just across from that UK city, so primed and ready to go after that. So they've got also 1 transport down here ready to pick up those 2 infantry, and also loaded 2 infantry and an artillery on the Italian transports there. Um, Also, I didn't mention it last time, but the Italians have a plane in here as well. The bomber has moved up, plus the planes on the carrier, so all ready to help out to try to take that away from the UK. So just doing everything that they can. So after Germany came Russia. They went ahead and just bought a lot of ground units. Didn't upgrade a factory yet. They don't start with a major factory, but so they just bought a lot of infantry, artillery, a couple of tanks, and mechanized infantry, and moving forward, stacking a lot in this territory, getting ready to try to take that northern island on the next turn when they can declare war, because it looks like Germany is going to be occupied. They did put a destroyer here to block in case if the UK backs off over here. I'm not sure what they're going to do yet, but if they do back off, Russia doesn't want Germany coming their direction with loaded transports, so setting up a blocker there just in case. Also moving forward down here, getting ready to try to put pressure on the pro-allies there, which is there's bonus income in that for Russia, and trying to keep Italy back as far as they can. So then it was Japan's turn, and they had no dice to roll at all. They did blitz a couple of, actually 3 territories. They blitzed C20, C9, and whatever this is here, C11. But no dice to roll. And then as you can see, they're stacking up right here. There's over 20 ground units sitting in there, plus planes. And then also put this fleet here so that it was impossible for the UK to block them. So they won't probably be able to take the city this next turn, but at least it's going to force the UK back, and then Japan can do pretty much whatever they want in here. But that has left them kind of high and dry in China. They're trying to hold on to this one spot here. They did buy 3 mechanized infantry and 6 infantry down here. So that's about it. I'll do one kind of flyby of the map. Then we'll come back at the end of the second turn after France is done. All right, we're back at the beginning of turn 3. When we left off, it was Japan at the end of Japan's turn 2. So after them came the U.S., which, as you can see, the U.S. has gotten just about everything they can over to this area, ready to go for turn 3 because they can declare war. So they've got 10 transports there and enough units to fill them all, I believe. So they are ready to go. Not much happening over here, just some units that are making their way towards the east, and then a tank and a mechanized infantry that they built up there. I'm using upside down major factories as minor factories because it ran out, but those will flip to major factories when the US goes to war. So after the US, it was China's turn. They didn't have any dice rolling combats, they just had walk-ons, so pushing as much forward as they can to take the Japanese income away, as they are preoccupied going after the UK over here. So China's trying to take advantage of that. So then came the UK. They declared war on Japan. They did take this J4 territory over here. Also, they attacked this pro-allied territory here. There was some Italian units sitting there, and that did not go well. So they actually retreated from that. And then everything else piled up in that city to try to ward off this Japanese onslaught. The ships that were here, the transport picked up a couple of units that were on UK 31, brought them back, and then was killed by that Italian sub. And then the rest of their fleet headed over this way to try to escape. So that's everything on this, or in this area. Up here, they are just trying to find a good spot to die. The Germans are coming for them. It didn't look good to attack, so they tried to be annoying and come up here. The main event for the UK was attacking the German buildup over here, and they wanted to try to strafe that, take out as many units as they could. It looked like the city is going to get taken either way. Even if they did take that out, the Germans would probably have enough with the units on those Italian transports, and they have another transport down here, plus all their planes. So they were probably going to be able to take that city anyways. So the UK wanted to try to strafe this and take out as many German units as they could. And that actually went pretty well. So those are the casualties up there. The UK took out 7 German units and only lost 4. And they decided to take the bomber as a casualty because it can't defend in Alt-Universe. So it just defends like a transport. So that's about it for the UK. For Italy, what I didn't mention is the UK had to take about 10 damage off of the factory there, and then they purchased everything they could up there. Italy purchased all infantry. They are worried about that giant US fleet of transports headed their direction, so I want to be prepared for that in case they try to come and get this city from the Italians, which you can't see, but there it is. So, buying infantry, they took out this pro-Allied territory. The Russians are going to be able to declare war next turn anyways, but taking out that pro-Allied is a trigger for the Russians, but it doesn't matter at this point, so they went ahead and did that. They also landed up here. The purpose of that was to disallow the UK from buying a naval base, although now that I think about it, the US is going to go first and be able to retake that, so the UK will be able to build a naval base anyway, but it's still going to prevent the US from landing any planes there, so still not a terrible idea. Also, Italy bombed that airbase, and the purpose of that is so that these German units on the Italian transports can get off, as well as the Germans that are going to come on this one transport down here. So that's helpful. Now Germany doesn't have to think about a scramble. So that's about it for Italy. They did also, I mentioned, kill this transport. So moving on to Anzac. Anzac just buying an infantry or artillery and a tank, and getting everything they can down here to help in China. Getting their planes down there and as many ground units as they can. So that's about it for them. And then lastly, France, moving what they could off of the front line, so they can protect that city. Well, you can't really see the city, but in that territory there. And then everything they bought went into that territory as well. So not a big turn for them, but just being prepared in case Germany decides to come for that sooner or later. They do have 7 transports sitting there, so France has to be aware. So that's about it for this point in time. I'll do one more flyby, and then we'll end for now. So the US and Russia will both be able to declare war this turn, and then everybody will be in the war. Alright, so that's it for this one. We'll be back after the Japanese turn. Alright, we're back at the middle of the 3rd turn, just after Japan's turn. Here's a shot of the cash on hand. Notice that Germany's got 93 IPCs on hand, so this was a great turn for them. Japan, though, was looking pretty light. at about 36. So let's take a look at the board here. So as you can see, Germany was able to take out this UK city, the factory, also kind of half of that whole section there, as well as this whole area. So Germany's taken everything on the western side of the continent here that they're able to. It's not neutral, or French, I guess. So good turn for Germany. They picked up a lot of money from the UK, picked up a national objective for taking that city as well, and a national objective for having all of this. And that battle went really well for Germany. The casualties are sitting up there. That was the natural casualties. You can see 2 fighters got shot down by anti-aircraft guns for Germany. Then by that yellow block, I threw in 3 extra casualties because it was so embarrassingly bad for the UK. So to try to make a bit of more of a game out of it, I threw in some extras. This was from taking out, I forget which, but a pro-Allied neutral. That's what the French are representing. So anyway, yeah, so big turn for Germany. Lots of planes left as well. So that was really good for them. This turn, the US is going to be able to head over this way. So we'll see what's in store there. Also, Germany now at war with Russia. They took out a sub up here and put some units into that on that northern island, so that Russia wasn't able to get it on their turn. Russia kind of vacated the area. Germany also moving one step forward here to try to push into Russia. Also picking up this one pro-Allied down here. So that's about it for Germany. Russia, Germany mostly just buying ground units, infantry and artillery up here, a few infantry here, a few mechanized infantry here, and a couple of fighters up here actually as well to try to defend this fleet. The Russians did have 3 ships and I think four planes, so Germany needed to be a bit careful. The Russians just buying ground units again, infantry and artillery and mechs. They decided to pile up in this territory here. They want to stay close to that pro-Allied if they can. They get a national objective for having those pro-Allieds, so they want to stay there. Also picking up this pro-Allied down here and just moving back off the line away from Italy, but staying in position for a counterattack. So Germany might be able to take this city on the next turn, but Russia is kind of poised to counterattack. They have quite a few mechanized units, so they should be good there. But nonetheless, Germany's starting to come this way, so they need to prepare. Got these 2 ships out of the way. Also killed a transport up there by that pro-Allied island. By the way, these UK casualties were from this area here. That was another battle that went really well, and I gave some extra casualties to the Germans just because it went so badly for the UK. So that's about it for Russia. Just getting low-cost units and trying to get as far forward as they can. So then Japan went. The main event there is taking out some of these UK territories, moving forward, trying to put the squeeze on this city. They did take out some Chinese units. In C20 right here, they tried to take that out with some planes, and that failed. In C19, there was 3 infantry, and they attacked that so that China wasn't able to take out these 2 remaining Japanese territory. I guess you can't see that. 2 remaining Japanese territories right here, and then stacking everything up over here to try to counter what's going on with the Australians and the Chinese. So they don't really have anywhere. I guess the Australians can move back, but the Chinese in this territory are now kind of stuck. So we'll see if they can survive or not with their buys. But Japan also came back with 4 other transports from over here. They've got a naval base over here now. And so they came back with 4 transports to ship as many guys over from the mainland as they could, and then buying a lot of ground units over here. So Japan looks pretty good to take this out, but not doing so hot in China and not doing so hot on the income front. So they are going to be looking to turn that around soon. So that's about it for Japan. I'll do one more flyby of the map, where things are at right now. Oh, also Japan. Those are the casualties up there. Japan lost a bomber trying to bomb this factory down here. So that's it for now. We will come back after, at the end of the 3rd turn after France. All right, we're back. It's the end of the 3rd turn, beginning of the 4th turn. We left off after Japan, turn 3. So next was the U.S. to go, and U.S. bought some more transports. Also, you can see a bunch of infantry. So bringing more ground units over in this direction. They moved their entire fleet over here, or for the most part, over here where that task marker is. There's 2 battleships, 3 carriers, some small ships, 3 cruisers, and about 10 transports there, and they landed all their ground units into UK 3 there. So doing their best to kick Germany off of the UK's area here. We'll see how that goes. So that was the big move for them. Kind of a low combat stretch for the second half of the 3rd turn. The US did take out a German sub, which was heading down in this direction. So a destroyer and a bomber came down to take that out, and that's mostly it. Bought a couple of mechanized infantry up there, but the remainder all went on the east coast over here. They did send a couple of subs down here to cause some havoc and hopefully be enough to help out those British naval units that were sneaking their way back up here. So that's it for the US, I think. After them came China. And China just took out a few territories, no real battles. Took out this C-22 territory. Also took this Japanese territory. That's all that I remember at the moment. Anyway, so China, though, is really stacking up a lot of units. They've got, each of those black chips represents 10, so they've got, almost 30 units on this side, and then another 14 or 15 over here. They bought an artillery over here. So this does look like it'll probably be safe from Japan. They backed up with the Australians to solidify that part. So that's it for China. The UK, also not a lot to do this turn. They blitzed that J3 territory and moved back to J4. There was also one battle here in UK, I guess that's 28. They wanted to take that from the Japanese. If the Japanese had held that, they'd be able to put all those ground forces in there along with a number of planes, so the UK would never get it back. Didn't do anything with this group of ground units here. Don't want to get too close to those Japanese forces. I mentioned before they did move their a couple of naval units here, destroyer and a carrier, up in this direction, trying to group them up with everything else. The UK did not have a lot of money on this turn. They only had enough to build a naval base and I think it was 1 artillery down here. But they wanted to get in that naval base to help the Americans out, but I didn't think that through all the way. Italy was able to bomb that out, and so now the Americans won't be able to use it on their turn. So that brings us into the Italians, which, like I said, they bombed out that naval base, making it inoperable. Brought their fleet back down here, need to get away from those Americans. So thankfully they have the range to get away, and the Germans are going to follow them on their turn. Bought a transport and some ground units, brought a couple of planes back to here, and other planes with the aircraft carrier. They did blitz the one Russian territory, but didn't have enough to survive there, so they stayed in this pro-Allied territory and did move a few units forward to threaten the British there. And also left their sub here to convoy. So that's Italy. Then came Anzac. So not a lot to say there. They consolidated with the Chinese, bought a fighter, a infantry, and a tank. They thought about consolidating here and bringing the transports over, but that would actually be in range of these Japanese planes, so they decided to stay up there instead. So that's Anzac, and then France is still neutral and not at all escalated, so they're still stuck only being able to move 3 units. So they moved this destroyer here as a potential blocker for later in the game. If they don't do that now and this pro-Allied gets taken out, then they won't be able to park there. They also moved a couple of units back into this city, are a bit worried about it later in the game, and mostly, they bought all infantry actually, so 2 infantry for here and 3 for up here. So that's it for France. I guess what I didn't show you was the incomes. You can see Japan is not doing particularly well on income. Hoping to turn that around shortly in this general area. There's the pro-Allied over here were 3, the UK island over here were 2, so that's another 5. They will get back that UK 28, and then eventually hoping to get that city as well, and these other territories up here, UK territories. And that would help Italy out too. They get a national objective if all those UK territories are taken out. So China doing pretty well on income. That's 28 for China. UK not doing so hot either, as you would expect. But so I'll do one more flyby. And then we will come back in the middle of the 4th turn. All right, we're back. It's the middle of turn 4, just at the end of Japan's turn. Give you a shot of the cash on hand. So Germany is actually a little fuzzy in my mind. I did it a few days ago, so I'm hoping I'm going to remember everything here. But Germany opted to back off of UK 4. They had some units there. I think 4 tanks were there, plus there was a mechanized infantry. So there was the option of attacking the US ground forces there and trying to take them out, but that was pretty risky. So they backed off and consolidated here, brought some more units over, which I think is now enough to withstand the US coming over with transports to try to kill them. So the US is going to be able to take that city and factory back, but they won't have enough now to survive the Germans. So it's going to be a bit of a back and forth over here for a while. The German ships that were in, I guess it was Sea Zone 39, they moved down here to get away from the Americans. there's everything on that fleet marker is up there. So there's quite a bit of American Navy there. What else did they do? They did move forward a little bit into Russia here. Also took out a Russian destroyer that's the casualty up there, but lost a bomber in the process. So they moved forward here, took out that pro-Allied. Russia subsequently took it back. Russia also tried to take out that lone artillery in G6, but was not able to. And the Germans also finally got a hold of this northern island using one transport, and the rest walked in. So cleared that out. That's about it for the Germans. The Russians went after that. They purchased a major industrial complex, so that got upgraded this turn. And then mostly infantry, a couple of artillery. The Russians, I mentioned before, retook this pro-Allied territory. I think those two in the middle are the casualties from that. So staying forward here, they're going to try to fight over that one pro-Allied territory in the south as long as they can. They've got quite a stack of units there because they were able to pick up some of the pro-Allied units as well. So we're going to see if Italy is able to move forward or not. And it's trying to stay as far forward as they can up here and fight over that pro-Allied as well. They get a national objective if they own those pro-Allied territories. And so they want to stay up there as long as they can. And that was about it for Russia. Did move the sub back up here to try to convoy, although it's in danger from, there's a German destroyer over here, but we'll see what happens. And then the Russians also moving a transport over this way to maybe help pick up some American troops and ship them over. So that was Russia. And Japan was pretty light on income. They purchased a minor factory over here, so they're going to put pressure on and probably eventually take this city and get that factory as well. Moving forward a little bit here against China, but not too far. Trying to hold on to those couple of territories, and this one up here. So there's the fleet marker as well for the Japanese. So that's this group down here. Also, Japan took out a lone American destroyer that was over here, where that sub is placed. And there's the casualties from the Japanese turn. Took out some Chinese, took out one UK infantry, and unfortunately lost their second bomber due to AA fire from this factory over here. So bombing raids are not going well for Japan. So also I guess they took this island down here from the UK. Thought about taking both along with that pro-Allied island, but just didn't have enough to, well, they could have, but would have been a bit more worried about keeping this stack alive here. The UK could have possibly attacked that, but now there's probably too much, so hopefully they'll be able to hang on and then get that city the next turn. So mostly buying infantry, other than that factory, the minor factory. It was all infantry. So that's it for Japan. I'll do one more flyover here of the whole board. Japan's income has not been great. I think they're sitting at 39 right now, but hopefully that's going to turn around in the next turn. Germany, though, is doing quite well. They're still in the mid-90s, I believe. And the U.S. is now getting their bonus for being at war. So, all right, so we'll come back at the end of the fourth turn after France. All right, we're back. It's the beginning of turn 5, the end of turn 4. We left off with Japan's turn, so next came the U.S. And the U.S., not a ton going on this turn. They did retake that UK city for the UK. Germany had left just a couple of infantry there. You can see 2 infantry casualties up at the top there. So the US was able to take that back, lost 1 infantry in the process, and brought a number of more ground units over here. I think they had 5 more transports coming. Unfortunately, the UK naval base there was bombed out, so this pile of transports right here wasn't able to make it all the way back. They did buy a few more transports and a destroyer, plus some ground units, and then I'll show you on the other side. They had bought an aircraft carrier and a sub, plus some more ground units. A couple of infantry there getting ready to board the Russian transport, which will move over on the Russian turn. They also tried to bomb the Japanese factory on their main island there, and that did not go well. They got shot down. So I think that's 3 for 3 bombers getting shot down in this game so far. 2 of the Japanese bombers and 1 American bomber. So I guess actually there was some bombing raids over here that were successful, but a lot of AA fire working out in this game. So that was the US. I guess they also killed a transport in Season 74, and then subsequently lost the destroyer, the submarine, I mean. So yeah, that's the fleet is with the marker there, and they're just kind of preparing to kick Germany out of UK's territory here if they can. So that was the US. After the US came China, and I did this a couple of days ago, so I can't remember exactly what all was taken on China's turn, but I know they came down and got these Japanese territories. So really taking a lot of money from Japan here. They've got quite a pile of infantry. That is 19 there, a bunch of others here, and another stack of about 16 over there. So yeah, so a lot of infantry for China. They did also stack up a little bit right here because the Japanese had put a fleet there with that fleet marker with a couple of transports, so they're worried about losing that city. So that's mainly it for China. They're getting a lot of income, which actually I didn't show you the cash on hand, but I'll do that quickly now. So what's China at? Over 30, so pretty good income for China. The UK didn't have a lot to do. They did sneak these 2 naval units up to this side. They came all the way from over here with this city, so they snuck around the bottom, and the Axis didn't really have anything to kill them with at the time. So that's good for them. Also built a factory there with the pileup of American units. So they're going to be able to build some ground units there. They probably won't be able to use that one. The Germans are probably going to take it back. And they did build an AA gun there just to force some possible German plane deaths if they retake that city, which they probably will. So that's mainly it for the UK. They just bought some more infantry with the city. Up there in PA 13, they had some ground units, and they actually flew out the planes that were with this city to there to try to escape because it looks like almost certain death here, and so they wanted to try to save those planes, but well, we'll talk about what Italy did, but obviously they're gone now. So and then just pushing up here, inching forward. I think they already owned that territory, but moved a few more units forward. So that's it for the UK. After that came Italy. Italy bought another transport and some mechanized infantry. They did blitz this Russian territory, and also I talked about that stack that was there in PA 13. So Italy came in with all their mechanized units and a couple of planes, and were able to take that out. So it's looking good for the Axis to kind of get this area of the map. Also, Italy took out a submarine in Season 74 and took 2 islands here. One of them, the small UK island, and then the pro-Allied. So between those 2 and this one that the Japanese own, That's a national objective for Italy, so they collected 3 extra this time, which put them at, they're at about 26, which is not bad for Italy. So that's about it for Italy. Then we had Anzac, which did not do too much. They pushed a bit more forward with this giant pile up here to help China out. Also moved their ships back because of that Japanese fleet. That's where that fleet marker is. That is this fleet here. So trying to get away from that a little bit, and also from that spot there, they can go and help out with that island up north. So at least they can get to this territory here, so or that sea zone. So putting a little pressure on the Germans to watch out for that. So that's Anzac. They're collecting 19, and they did save a bunch, considering getting another factory in A2 there, which is the only other spot that they can on their original territories. So that's Anzac. Then came France, and they just moved a couple of units out of F2 into the main pile up there, just to make sure that Germany isn't going to go after that, their city there, and bought all infantry, placed some up here and some down here. I think they also moved that mech into that territory as well, just in case the Axis get tricky and try to take this out. But France is still neutral as it sits right now. So that's about it. I'm not sure how to feel about things right now. The Germans were doing okay, but it looks like eventually they will get pushed out of here. They have not made inroads into Russia, as you can see, so that's a bit of a problem, but hopefully one they can deal with. They do have a couple of factories producing units here, so hopefully they'll eventually outdo the Russians. And not making a ton of progress down here. This section is looking good for the Axis. They've got some islands down here, and look, they're looking to get to that PA 15 at the bottom, and UK 30 as well. Also, we'll take out this city. So this south area is looking good for the Axis. Japan's income is suffering, as you can see, because of China. But after the next term, they will be able to take out this city and probably most, if not all, of these UK territories. So their income is going to get bumped up. The question is it going to be in time to be able to push these Chinese back or not? So we'll see. I'm going to do at least one more round to see how it goes. But yeah, at the moment, I'm really not sure what to say about who's ahead. So we'll do one more round and see what we can say after that. So I will do a quick flyby. The whole map. And then we'll come back at the end of the 5th Japanese turn. All right, we're back after the 5th Japanese turn. So I've left a couple of yellow blocks on the map here to remind me to talk about a couple of things. So on the German turn, actually before we get to that, let me show you the cash on hand. If you look closely, that's 108 for Germany, and I think it's 57 for Japan. And so that's after taking a couple of cities. They got some income transfer from that and from the factories that were in the cities. And at the height, Germany's income was at, it's basically lapped and then gone up to 13. So what's that? 85 of just income, plus their national objectives, plus the cash they got from Russia. So good turn for Germany in terms of money. So the Germans went in for a bombing raid on that UK naval base. They wanted to disrupt the Americans transporting back and forth and also maybe coming down in this area as well. So they went in with, I think, 4 fighters and 2 bombers, lost 2 fighters in the air battle, but killed 2 American fighters, and then also lost a bomber in the bombing run. So I sent in 2 bombers just in case. So 1 did die, and then we put enough damage on the naval base to knock it out. So Germans also took this UK city back, and in the process there lost a tactical bomber. So, but they got it back. Also decided to put a destroyer blocker there so the Americans don't come through and kill their pile up over here. Massing up over here in this section, because the Americans probably eventually are going to want to come in there, kick them out, and get the UK some income again. Germany also came over here. They have a naval base from this territory, which is hard to see, but it's in here somewhere. So they were able to move 3 and come over here and take this city from the Russians. Also that territory to the right of it, taking that out as well. And that got them an extra $8 out of the Russian income, or cash on hand. Also took this pro-Allied. They did take this pro-Allied just with 1 infantry. And I think that's mainly it, electing to ignore that submarine in order to get the bombardment shots on the city territory. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention that I forgot is last time I said that Anzac could make it up here to that northern island, but they can't if you count it out. So my mistake on that. So just another thing I wanted to talk about. Okay, so Russia. After Germany came Russia. Sorry, I had to pause things there for a minute. I was just losing my voice a little bit. Had to get a drink. Anyway, so Russia. Russia decided to take their large stack and come to this territory here. That's the purpose of that was to try to force the Germans to go back to their city. They don't have enough to take it if the Germans do that, but just to force them back, hopefully away from that pro-Allied territory, and they can trade that for as long as possible. The Russians also took back this city territory and the one to the right of it, also taking back that pro-Allied there, and that's about it. They did move some transports this way, going to use the Russian transports to ferry some American troops this way perhaps. Yeah, so that's about it for Russia. They were able to utilize this major factory this turn, so building 10 units there and 3 down in this section. So that was Russia. Then Japan's turn. I didn't mention there's a lot of the casualties up there from the back and forth with the Russians and the Germans, and also over here. Yeah, so Japan, it was their time to shine, to come down here and get this city. That went really well. The casualties are up here, the ones to the right. So they lost 13 units for, it was in the low 20s for the UK. You can count that if you want to, but the AA guns hit nothing for the UK, and the Japanese got something like 19 or 20 hits on their first round. So almost every aircraft hitting. So it went really well for them. They took that out and took some money from the UK. Also because the UK took their aircraft away, Japan had a little bit of extra units, so they went and took these 3 territories here for the extra money, and that'll get Italy a national objective on their next turn. Japan tried to take this J5 territory just with 1 unit and 1 plane. They took out the unit but failed to take the territory. Also blitzed through here and took this with a couple of blitzed units and the ones that went on these transports. and then mainly just consolidating right here to try to keep the Chinese off their back, and they're going to eventually want to get over this way to protect that city. Once we get to round 8, the Axis need to have a certain number of cities, so they're starting to count those out. The fleet moved over here. There wasn't that much they could do. There was a smaller fleet in that C-Zone 76, but not really enough to get anything done up here. So they came down this way and are thinking about coming and getting this U.S. island over here. Number one, they want the city, and number two, it's a national objective. So that's kind of what they're thinking about. So I think that's it for Japan, mainly just buying ground units. That's about all they could afford. I think they only had 36 IPCs to start this turn. Part of that was because China took out this city here and took some money from them, and just their income is pretty low right now, or in the prior turn it was. So yeah, that's about it. I guess I didn't mention what Germany bought, but mainly I think it was all ground units, some mechanized units here, some infantry and artillery up here, some infantry from that factory there, and also from that factory there. So that's it for this segment, I guess. We'll come back at the end of the 5th turn after France, give one more kind of flyby of the whole map so you can see how things are going. Yeah, so that's it for now. We'll come back after France. All right, we're back, and it is the end of round 5 or the beginning of round 6. And I'll give you a quick shot of the cash on hand right there. So we left off with Japan. Just ignore the yellow blocks in the middle of the map for now. I'm going to talk about those later. But so we had the U.S., and U.S. bought a lot of ground units, a couple of transports, or one transport over here, some more mechanized infantry up here that can drive down and get picked up by transports on the other side of the map, and a destroyer and a sub, also some fighters. And not a ton happening for the U.S., but in one way a big turn. Decided it was time to retake that UK city and hold it. So they put everything in there they could, kill the destroyer here, move the fleet here. They did take this UK territory as well. The transport got killed by the Italians, but they wanted that. It's nice to have that naval base. So Germany's probably going to have to try to take that back, but we'll see. Actually, we won't see because I'm going to call the game now. But anyway, so the U.S. looks like they're going to be able to hold that, and it looks like Germany's time on that UK kind of peninsula is running out. They're probably not going to be able to take that back, and I don't know how long they're going to be able to hold on there. So anyway, the U.S. doing its job, helping out the U.K., and I think it's going to be time for them to move on to other things. But anyway, that was their turn for now. Talk more about that later. So then we had China. China just doing some walk-ons, taking this territory, and this one and this one. Also taking that big stack forward up there. So China had 33 to spend, so they bought 11 infantry. So as you can see, they have a lot of infantry. I think over 50 on the board. So they're looking pretty healthy, but Japan is now going to be able to turn their attention in that direction. So so that was China. The UK also did not have a ton of money to spend. Or I shouldn't say also, but they didn't have a ton of money to spend. They bought, well, cleared off some damage on the one factory here, and then also taking the damage off of that naval base to help out the U.S. So probably Germany isn't going to bother trying to bomb that again, but we'll see. So that was the UK. They bought 3 infantry to support the Americans in their city there, the territory with the city, and then a couple of artillery back here just in case. That was about it. They did blitz 1 territory over here against Japan, and then just consolidating because now there is 4 transports available for Japan, so trying to put everything together if they do come after them. So that was the UK. The UK does not have a lot of income right now with the loss of all this. Also Italy, well, we'll get to Italy in a second, but they took that territory worth 3 down there. So UK only collecting 20. Yeah, so Italy, they blitzed this territory, blitzed a Russian territory here, and then moved into China. That Chinese territory isn't worth anything, but going to see what they can get done up there. And I mentioned before, they took out this UK territory, amphibious assault. And I just realized I forgot to move this transport. Let's throw that over there. And killed an American transport here and put a destroyer there to be a blocker. So that was it for Italy. They did move a lot of things, a lot of units forward here. Still not wanting to move directly into R28 there. Afraid of the Russians at the moment, but they've got reinforcements coming. So bought a lot of mechanized infantry and a tank. After them was Anzac. Anzac moved forward with China over here and brought some units down with the transports. They were feeling safe there because all the Japanese ships came down here, so they won't be able to pass through C-Zone 76 now because they don't own everything on either side. So anyway, those ships were feeling safe, so transported some more units. Also built a second factory up in A2 to use a bit more of their money. So that was Anzac, and France was pretty simple, just moving 1 infantry back into here and bought a couple of infantry and a fighter for that territory, just in case Germany decides that is their exit plan from the UK here. So they want to make them pay as much as possible if they do decide to try to go through France to get out of there, which they probably won't, but want to make it as costly as possible. So that's where we sit at the end of 5 game rounds. So we'd be starting the 6th game round. I'm going to call the game at this point. I think I got done what I intended to, which is test out a game where both Germany and Japan, and as much as they can Italy, go after the UK first, as opposed to, I think the most normal thing to do would be to go after Russia and China first, but just wanted to try going after the UK first. And so I wanted to show you at the end of round 5, on my hot pink sticky note here, is the cash on hand for both sides, the total. So the Axis have 198 IPCs on hand. 16 of that was from captured territories. This city that Japan captured from the UK, and that Russian city up there, which Russia retook afterwards. So they captured 16 total IPCs, so that's kind of temporary. They won't be getting that again. So you could say their income is roughly 182. And then the Allies is 186 if you exclude France, and 202 if you include France. So France may or may not ever join the war, depending on what the Axis do. So you might not want to include it, or might want to include it depending on what the situation is. So that's pretty close. Generally, if the Axis are close to the Allies, that means they're winning. I did want to mention a few things that might start tilting things in the Allied favor. One is once the US and the UK do kick Germany out of here, they're going to have access to that strait where the yellow block is, and that's going to cause problems for Germany because the US with upwards of 20 transports could be going through there and coming after that city of theirs. So that's going to cause some problems for Germany. It's also going to turn over some income back to the UK. The US also could come down to where this yellow block is, try to take some of the inland territories there, take that from Germany. If they can get enough of those, there's a national objective in it for the UK, and also it would block a national objective from Germany, which also this one is necessary for. So some income could definitely change hands there. And also, if the US does get into this sea zone or anywhere down here, it causes a lot of problems for the Axis because, Italy has a city here and factories that can be taken. Germany has a couple of minor factories that can be taken. So once the US kind of comes to the south here, it can be some problems that way too. But Italy does have a lot of income right now, so they might be able to survive or help out. They've got over 30 IPCs right now. For Germany, I would say the two biggest things are, can they kick Russia out of that territory with the yellow block, and also can they get and hold that city? That's a big deal because right now the Axis sit at, it's hard to see because it's covered up, but there's a city 1, there's a city 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So they've got 7 cities right now, and they need to have 8 once they get to round 8, or the Allies are winning. They win the game at that point. So the Axis are looking for one more, so that getting that city up there would be a big deal. Also, Japan's got a shot at, they could pretty easily take out that American city over here as well. So the Axis do need to pay attention and make sure they're above 8 cities. They could also get this one on the strict neutrals here, or this UK city. Taking that one, though, would bring France into the war. So, and then lastly is, this kind of area is contested right now. Looks like Italy is going to be able to outproduce Russia, but it's going to depend on how much pressure the US is putting on them if they can send it in this direction. So to make a long story short, I think the game is pretty balanced right now. Pretty even. It's hard to say who's winning. So I think I'd call it a tie at this point, which is really good because I wanted to check on how things would go on a game where the Axis go after the UK first. So it seemed to work out pretty well. And this isn't the first time I've done this, but it is the first time I've done it with the latest unit setup. So pretty happy with that. So I hope that you found this interesting. Maybe learn something if you're going to play this game. I can't remember if I mentioned it in the first video, but it is available on AAA, so you can play it that way. Or if you're interested in getting a physical map, you can get in touch with me, and I can get you in touch with my print shop to have one printed off, like this one, which is on banner vinyl. Just it gets rolled up, and they can ship it to you. So that's about it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you have an opinion on who's winning right now, feel free to offer that up too. And thanks for watching.